Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to what I'm going to call the Feel Good Album Show. So some of my YouTube colleagues, Scott Lade and various other people, have been doing some episodes of late on something they've called comfort albums. And I saw a couple of them and it got me thinking. It's like, well, I could probably do something similar, because that's what we all do. Everybody does similar things to what everybody else is doing. But I was thinking, I don't know if I really like this whole idea of comfort albums. Because to me, any album that I really like a lot is a comfort album, right? Brings you those warm and fuzzies, right? So I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I started to think about, well, what about those albums that are feel-good albums? The albums that I reach for when I want my spirit, my body, my spirit, my mind, my emotions, I want them to be lifted a little bit. An album that I know if I reach for it, it'll make me feel better, right? It'll zap me out of whatever is going on with me. Music that's uplifting, music that kind of picks me up and says, Pete, get the hell off the floor. You're going to listen to this. You're going to feel a little better about things and about yourself, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking of here. And again, I've got hundreds, thousands of albums that I love across all sorts of different genres. So I thought really hard. It's like, well, what could I pick out 10 albums that are like my ultimate feel-good albums? And I don't even know if I picked out the 10 ultimate. I picked out 10 because my longer list was 25. I didn't want to bore you guys with like a list of 25 because it'd go on and on and on. And there were probably some that I didn't even think about, right? I try not to overthink this, but I figured, let me pick out 10 albums that I easily know that if I play these albums, I'm going to feel better about things. It's going to make me feel good. They're going to make me feel happy. And, you know, I got like a bunch of genres represented here, but not everything. Like, I don't have a lot of crazy metal in here. I don't have a lot of crazy prog rock. I have a couple of instrumental albums. I got some hard rock. I got some kind of things that straddle the line between a couple of things. Most of these, though, are tied to times, places in time, stories in my life, events in my life, and they bring back fond memories. And usually when you tie music to fond memories, that's where the magic kind of happens. So that's why these albums got picked, because they bring me back to a time in my life where these albums meshed with something going on in my life, and the end result was happy me, right? That's what it's all about. So the first one today, this particular album, I've had this album for a long, long time, but it really wasn't until the pandemic a couple of years ago that this particular artist, and really this album, a lot of his albums, but this particular album, I got reacquainted with it. And it was one of those kind of pick-me-up albums during a really weird time in the world and all of our lives, right? That album is Bright Size Life by Pat Metheny. Of course, this is Pat Metheny and Jaco Pastorius and Bob Moses. Guitar, bass, and drums, right? It's a jazz album. Call it fusion, call it whatever you want. To me, when I start hearing the melodies of this album and those liquidy guitar runs from Pat and Jaco's amazing bass playing and the nice drum patterns from Bob, I get instantly lifted. And it's funny because I was tossed up between this and a couple other Pat Metheny albums. So I said, well, you got to make a decision, Pete, because we're not going to do two albums from the same artist. So I went and played both of them back to back to see how I reacted to them. And you know what? This is the one that made me the happiest, right? So this is my Pat Metheny Feel Good album. You know, it just, from the opening title track, man, it just grabs me immediately. You know, Unquitty Road is so good. Omaha Celebration, Sarah Porn. I mean, just this whole album. It's immaculately produced. It's simple. It's sparse. But, man, the playing between these three guys is magical. You know, I wish going forward that Pat and Jaco did more stuff together. Right? I know they only really did two albums together, but I would have loved to have heard more. Of course, they played with Joni Mitchell as well, but doing albums together, I wish they did a lot more than they did. But yeah, Bright Size Life is one of my 10. Have to have it. All right, so this next one. So the leader of this band was in a even bigger band, huge band. And I said, well, and this guy he's always a feel-good guy for me, always, even when I was a little kid. But when I was a little kid, when I was a young guy, I usually favored the smaller band to the much bigger band. And so when I was putting together my list, I had an album from each of these bands on my list. And I was like, all right, do I go with this one? Do I go with the other one, which is an easy pick? And I was, again, you played them back to back and thinking, all right, well, I love them both, but which one is more of the feel-good album for me? Because it's tied back to a period in my life where music just meant everything to me, and I didn't have all the complexities of life and all that sort of thing, right? And I went with Paul McCartney and Wings' Back to the Egg. You might be saying, but Pete, that's not even the best Paul McCartney and Wings album. I know it's not. The purpose of this whole exercise is not to pick out the best, my favorite album from all these bands, because I've done that before, right? This is not about that. This is about certain albums that maybe you don't like as much as others, but they have this effect on you that you really can't quite put your finger on and describe. This was the last Paul McCartney and Wings album. This was at the height of my love for this band, and I remember how excited I was when this album came out. And I remember I was so excited about the possibility of maybe going to see them live, and I know they were going over to Japan to do a tour and coming back to the States, and I had my father go buy this at J&R Music World downtown in New York City, because he worked right by City Hall. And he went and he picked it up for me one day, brought it home, and I played it. And I've told this story before. And the opening track, which I love so much, well, the second song, Getting Closer, had skips in the vinyl. And I was like, oh. He went and returned it, got another one. Skips in the same place. I'm like, what is going on here? So I grew up listening to Getting Closer. Say you don't put my cellar, man. The whole beginning of the song was all skips. And that's how I grew up listening to this album. But the main point is, I played this over and over and over and over and over and over again, and still love it. And it was one of my favorite albums from 1979. And this was a period where I was like, my love of Kiss was waning. I was a big Wings fan while I was a Kiss fan, but I was starting to move on to different things. But I love the songs on here. They're so engaging. Getting Closer, We're Open Tonight, Spinning On, a good hard rock. There's a lot of good hard rockers on here. That's why I like this album so much, because I was getting into heavier stuff again and again and again. Old Siam Sir, heavy. Arrow Through Me is gorgeous. The Rockestra theme, all this other stuff. Just a great, great album. And then Paul got busted for pot in Japan. That was the end of the band. No U.S. tour. Pete's crying. And I just moved on to other things, right? But I still love listening to this because it just brings me back to 1979. And to me, it's not the best Wings album. Might not even be in top 3. It's close. But this is the underrated Wings gem, and it's the rockin' Wings, and I think it's a great, great album for them, and it just makes me feel good. All right, so my next choice. Again, not my favorite album from this band, but I do love it. But it brings me back to my college days, because my good buddy Kirk and I, we would often, when we're at parties or throwing a party or out at a bar with a jukebox or whatever, we would find out if anybody had Van Halen, Women and Children First available to play. And we would sit, we'd have our beer, arm in arm with each other, and we would sing Take Your Whiskey Home together. We would sing Could This Be Magic together. We would rock out to A Cradle Will Rock, Everybody Wants Some, Fools, Romeo Delight, Lost Control, Lost Control, Lost Control. Man, we would headbang to this album. And I still think it's a fantastic album, but coupled with those memories, and he and I still do it occasionally, right? I just saw him recently, but we have, over the years, we have replayed some of these scenes as older men now, and it's still so much fun. So, when I'm listening to this album, I can't help but think of my buddy, and I can't help but think of those years that are so long ago that we'll never live through again, right? Those college years when you don't have a care in the world. All you gotta do is, will I wake up for class? Will I do the assignment in the papers? And where's the next beer coming from, right? So I hear this now, and it just takes me right back. It makes me feel good. This is I like Van Halen 1 better. I like Fair Warning more. But this is the one that gives me the warm and fuzzies and puts a smile on my face every time I hear it. Women and Children First by Van Halen. All right, next up. So there's no real story to this one. This is just an album that just makes me happy. And this band makes me happy. And this is a band that I kind of dug when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I like them a hell of a lot more. And I now consider them an upper echelon band for me. The band is Steely Dan. The album is The Royal Scam. Yeah. How can you not get happy? Click your heels, snap your fingers, move around to Kid Charlemagne, The Caves of Altamura, Don't Take Me Alive, awesome. Sign In Stranger, The Fez, so good. Green Earrings, Haitian Divorce, Everything You Did, and the great title track. Is it jazz pop? Is it jazz rock? Is it straight jazz? Is it prog rock? Is it funk? Is it all these things and more? Yes, it's just Steely Dan. The Royal Scam, a magical album, makes me so happy. In fact, I'm going to go listen to it again when I'm done recording this. That's how happy it makes me. All right, Rush. Rush makes me happy in general, right? But like, I don't pick Hemispheres when I want to just be uplifted, right? I love Hemispheres for everything it is. 2112 doesn't quite affect me that way. Love it to death. Even Moving Pictures. I almost pick Moving Pictures. It's my favorite Rush album. Doesn't quite make me feel as good as Permanent Waves. And why is that, you might be asking? Well, because The Spirit of Radio and Free Will. There's no way, if you're feeling like garbage and you put on this album and you hear those two tracks, it doesn't bring a smile to your face. Like, yeah, I will choose Free Will. Oh, that guitar solo. Yeah, Alex. And the rest of it's just gravy, right? Jacob's Ladder, amazing. Entre Nous, different strings, amazing. Natural Science, so good. Not my favorite Rush. Probably not in my top 3. Might be number 4, might be number 5. But it makes me the happiest out of all the Rush albums. Rush in general makes me happy, but nothing brings a smile more to my face than this one right here. Moving Pictures is very close, though. I almost picked it. I'm trying not to just go with, these are my favorite albums from these bands. We might have a couple of them here. But I really wanted to go and really think about like those ones that kind of have that more of that uplifting quality. Right? That's kind of what I'm going for. Styx, The Grand Illusion. Yes. Absolutely had to pick this. This is also my favorite Styx album. There's something about this album. I've heard it a million times. Every time I can listen to this all the way through. Brings a smile on my face. I'm singing along. I'm playing air guitar. I'm playing air keyboards. Man, the title track is so great. Fooling Yourself. Tommy Shaw does it again. Superstar, so good. Denison, Come Sail Away. Miss America, JY. Man in the Wilderness, so cool, so proggy, so haunting. Castle Walls, what a great prog song. And then, of course, the grand finale. It's grandiose, it's rockin', it's proggy, it's memorable, it's melodic. Everything I want in an album. The Grand Illusion. Absolutely amazing. All right. I don't talk about this band often enough on the channel. I should. Allied Forces by Triumph. I saw them on this tour. Loved every second of it. I remember hearing Magic Power on the radio and thinking, man, that's a happy song. It's an uplifting song. It's a feel-good song. There's more on here, though. Fool for Your Love is great. How about the title track, Allied Forces? But really, it's all about fight the good fight. Because when you think about fighting the good fight, what does it do? You know you're going to be successful. You're going to fight that good fight. It's going to work out in the end. I'm feeling better already, right? Rick Emmett and Company. Love it. Ordinary Man, so good. Say Goodbye. I'll be leaving in the morning, but I'm coming back, right? Yes. Allied Forces by Triumph. Amazing. All right. Really wanted to pick a Yes album. I was thinking, well, I'll do what Stephen Reed always does. Which one, though, really is the feel-good album for me? And there really was only, there's ones that I love with everything in me, Close to the Edge, my favorite prog album, my favorite Yes album, not even close. The Yes album is great. Fragile is great. Relayer is great. Drama is great. 90125 is great. But only one album has Awaken, and that's going for the one. Awaken to me is, bar none, my favorite uplifting, makes me happy, puts a smile on my face, makes me feel good all inside. Awaken does that to me. Every time I've seen Yes live and they play Awaken, I get taken to another place. And yeah, the rest of the album is great. I love the title track. Turn of the Century is gorgeous. Parallels, rockin' track. Wondrous Stories is so gorgeous. That's the thing. There's so much gorgeousness on this album. It's just majestic and grandiose and melodic and soaring, and yeah, it's Yes. Again, not my favorite Yes album. Maybe not even a top 4, 5. But it's got Awaken. It's got Wondrous Stories. It's got Turn of the Century. Those songs make me feel real, real good, folks. Real good. All right, last two. Another instrumental album that just brings a smile to my face. It's got amazing guitar playing and the melodies and the rhythms and just magicalness sprinkled all throughout. I've heard it tons of times, many times in my life. But there's something about Blow by Blow by Jeff Beck that blows me away and just makes me happier than a pig and you know what. Actually, that's a common saying here in the States, but pigs aren't really happy in their own shit. Pigs are happy in like mud and water, right? Pigs just want food but yeah. Anyway, this is an amazing album. This is a Pete Pardo feel good album. Has been for decades. You know what I mean? She's a woman, you understand. So good. Constipated Duck, Scatterbrain, 'Cause We've Ended as Lovers. Oh, God. Just put an arrow right through me. And of course, Freeway Jam and everything else on here. Just magical, magical album. Jeff Beck. Yeah, we miss him. Last but not least, this was kind of a late addition. And just so you know, like I said, I had like 25 that I had picked out right off the bat, but this was kind of a late addition. And again, it brings me back in time to my days, like in high school, just entering high school and listening to 101.5 WPDH FM rock radio in Poughkeepsie, New York. And they played the hell out of this album and a couple of the tracks specifically. And this album didn't really sell all that well, but I loved it. I went and bought it right away, even though I never had listened to the band before. Heard of them, heard of the singer. And that's Adventures in Utopia by Todd Rundgren's Utopia. You know what caught my eye from this? The title track, The Road to Utopia, because it's just so bouncy and fun. And then Last of the New Wave Riders was so heavy. I heard that on the radio. I was like, holy cow, that's crushing. Who is that? Utopia. It's like, are they a heavy band? No, I didn't think they were a heavy band. Right? Caravan, another one they played on the radio. That's total prog and hard rock. Amazing. And then you hear Set Me Free and Shot in the Dark, Very Last Time, Rock Love, You Make Me Crazy, Second Nature, which is more kind of like pop and new wave. All of a sudden you got all these flavors on here, but the album is so much damn fun. I can put this on anytime and all of a sudden I could be pissed off, frustrated, depressed, in a foul mood, whatever. But when you put on Adventures in Utopia, I'm having a good time within seconds. Within the opening, the Road to Utopia, and then all of a sudden that bouncy rhythm comes in, that engaging vocal. It's just like, yes, brings me back to 1980 all over again. All over again when I was just 14 years old. Oof. So there you have it, folks. Those are my feel-good albums for this episode here. There's lots of others. Yeah, I'll tell you some of the other ones that I had chosen here. These are some of my honorable mentions. Santana, self-titled debut. Absolutely. Jethro Tull, Songs from the Wood. Bum, 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 da, ba, da, da. So much feel-good stuff on that album, right? Boston, self-titled. I really wanted to pick that, but I put that on every list that I do here on the channel. Lynyrd Skynyrd, Street Survivors. Again, kind of a sad album because that was the last album before the plane crash, but that album is so much fun. There's so much uplifting Southern rock and boogie on that album. Love it. Kansas, Point of No Return. The Beatles, Revolver. That was the other McCartney album. I really wanted to pick Revolver, right? But Wings Back to the Egg just kind of does it for me just a little bit more. I know most of you are like, oh, but the Beatles album is so much better. I know. This is not about better. This is about how these albums affect us, right? That's what this whole thing is about. How these albums affect us. The ones that really make us feel good. Uriah Heep, Abominog. Again, brings me back to my teenage years. That album meant a lot to me. It's just such a bright, uplifting, heavy album. Love it. Toto, self-titled debut. Again, so many great songs that just cheer me up, make me feel good about myself and everything else. Journey, Escape. Yep, Journey is a feel-good band for me. Absolutely. That's probably the number one album for me. Genesis, Trick of the Tail. I love all those 70s Genesis albums. But do I play Nursery Crime or Foxtrot or Lamb Lies Down on Broadway when I want to kind of be uplifted and feel better about things and just help break my mood? Not really. Trick of the Tail does that to me. That's a get your ass out of the gutter kind of an album. Gentle Giant, Freehand. Such a fun album. Man, those quirky melodies and all the interesting instrumentation. Yeah, that totally does it. Spock's Beard, Day for Night. Not my favorite Spock's Beard album, but man, that title track just does it to me every time. That just makes me want to get up and sing and forget everything else. Cats in Space, Kickstart the Sun. I had to put something real recent here. Man, Cats in Space makes me feel good. Every album of theirs is uplifting, fun, vibrant, melodic, hook-laden. Kickstart the Sun might be my favorite album by them. Just absolutely love it. And then another one. This was kind of weird. Yngwie Malmsteen, Odyssey. Yngwie and Joe Lynn Turner. It's not my favorite Yngwie album. It's up there. But there's something about Odyssey, man. It's just late 80s. I know every lyric to that entire album. Love everything about it. So much fun. Great guitar work, great vocals, everything. Just love it. So anyway, that's my list. Put yours down in the comments below. We'll see you next time. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. All the damn time. See you soon. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. My feel-good albums. Take care. Bye-bye.